Hello, Shore Scholars. So today we're going to continue talking about slope-intercept form. Before we get to that though, we're going to talk about the x-intercept. This isn't really that important for this year. You will talk about this in algebra more, but it's just like your y-intercept. It's where it's the x-coordinate of the point where a line crosses the x-axis. And the x-intercept occurs when y equals 0. So if we were doing our tables and y equaled 0, that would be your x-intercept. Our y-intercept is the y-coordinate of the point where the line crosses the y-axis. So this is what you do need to know for this year, your y-intercept. So we do need to know that. And it occurs when x equals 0. So when we were looking at the tables the other day, wherever x equaled 0, that would be your y-intercept. In slope-intercept form, this is something that you will need to remember. Y equals mx plus b. It's a linear equation written in that form. And we've already talked about how slope is the m. So this is our slope. And the b is our y-intercept. And you guys discovered that loophole when you did that class kick last week. All right. And to find the slope and y-intercept of the graph of a linear equation, you're going to rewrite the equation in slope-intercept form. Except this year, Mrs. Leganke and I will not be requiring you to rewrite. This is something that you will do next year in algebra. Okay, before you can even graph or write equations, you need to be able to identify the slope and y-intercept of either a graph or the linear equation itself. So we are going to still use the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. And these are your variables that just represent coordinates to the points on the line. And remember, this is your slope and this is your y-intercept. So using this setup, we are just going to identify the slope and y-intercept of each equation. So looking here, I have my number that's in front of my x, my coefficient. That is 5. So that means my slope is -5. And my y-intercept, if you look here, we're subtracting 8. So my b, or my y-intercept, is -8. So this is what you'll be doing on your quizzes today. So you will just be identifying the slope and the y-intercept on equations and graphs. Looking at our next example, this equation is not in slope-intercept form. I'm going to get this 3 and move it to the other side by doing inverse operations. You are not expected to do this year, know how to do it. This is something that you will do next year. So then I'm left with 1/2 x minus 3. So now we have an equation in slope-intercept form. So I need to find my slope. Well, right here, I have my coefficient in front of my variable. So that means my slope is 1/2. And then my b, I'm subtracting 3. So my y-intercept is -3. Alright, so just like you did last week on the Discovering Slope-Intercept Form class kick, we looked for the y-intercept and the slope. So I just highlighted my y-axis, and I'm looking and see that it crosses at -4. So my b or y-intercept is negative 4. Then I'm also going to find my slope. And notice I don't have any points, so I'm going to find a perfect lattice point where it crosses. And I don't have another one till here. There is one here. And I'm going to count my rise over my run. So if I go up 1, 2, 3, and I run 1, 2. And my line is negative, so that means my slope is negative 3/2. And to write that in slope-intercept form, we have y equals mx plus b. I'm going to erase, and my slope was negative 3/2, and my y-intercept was minus 4. Negative 4. All right, so that's the equation of our line for this one. And we're going to follow those same steps for this next line. So I am looking at my y-axis to find my y-intercept, which it looks like it's crossing at 5. So my b is positive 5. And then I need to count my slope. So again, there's no points. I have to make them or put them on those perfect lattice points. And it looks like there's only 2. So I'm going to count my rise over run, which is up 1, 2, and I run 1, 2, 3. So that means my slope is positive 2/3. And to write your equation, you just use that same setup. Y equals mx plus b. I'm going to replace my slope, my m, with my slope, which is positive 2/3. And I'm going to replace my b with my y-intercept, plus 5. So there is the equation for that second graph.